Hi guys, and welcome to your 20-minute fluid yin yoga session. If you haven't practiced yin before, this is a really brilliant one to start with, and you might want to grab hold of before we start just anything that might help to prop you up. So you might want to grab hold of a blanket, any blocks that you might have, cushions, props, anything that works. So if you don't have blocks, you might grab hold of some books, and if you don't have a bolster, you might just grab hold of some pillows or some cushions from your bed, and then maybe pause this and then come back. We tend to hold in yin our poses for a little longer, so you can quite easily get cold. So yeah, grab everything that you need, maybe pop a jumper on, get yourself super cozy, socks, welcome, and then come back. Give you a second. So we're going to get started actually in a reclined butterfly today. So just coming down onto your mats and dropping knees out to the side, taking soles of the feet together, and then just allowing the back to come down. So it might be that here you choose to just take those hands onto the belly, or maybe even onto the chest, onto the heart space. If it feels nice, you might even take those arms up and overhead, so you mirror that movement of the legs with the arms and with the hands. And when you get here, just starting to allow yourself to settle into stillness. So taking the first few moments of class to ground down, just noticing how the breath is feeling and how the body is feeling. You might just scan over, so from the crown of the head, moving down until you reach the toes. Just notice the body. Is there anywhere here where you're feeling tension? So always just welcoming into the practice and meeting the breath, meeting the body exactly where it is. So really cultivating that awareness. You might notice sensation through the thighs, through the groin and hip space here. You've got the arms up and over the head, maybe through the shoulders, through the back. So we're not asking ourselves to do anything here. We're just asking ourselves to notice, to be present with those sensations. And if you find the mind getting busy here, knowing that it's completely normal. So when the mind wanders, maybe just allowing it to for a few seconds. And then when you're ready, when you notice that wandering, just slowly coming back into either the body or the breath. So notice how this feels through the body, or notice the inhale and the exhale. And as we breathe here, you might choose to send that breath to wherever there may be tension in the body. So if there's anywhere that you picked up on, just see if on that inhale you can allow that breath to move through. And on the exhale, just seeing if you can find that release. So we let go slightly more. Taking everything a little softer, a little slower, a little steadier. Taking just a releasing breath here, so breathing in through that nose. Exhaling, releasing out through the mouth. Wherever those arms are, gently starting to just wiggle through fingertips. And then slowly starting to move the arms and just taking hands towards the thighs, towards the knees, and gently drawing the legs back together. And slowly starting to draw knees in towards the chest. So traditionally in our yin practice, we come towards a rebound after a long hold. So we just take a second to check in. So this rebound is often stillness. It's somewhere where the body feels completely relaxed. If it feels good though, I always encourage after those holds, if there's any movement that feels like it's coming up. So if your intuition is telling you to find any movement, just allowing yourself to go there. So that's why we labeled this more as a fluid yin practice. So allowing that breath to take the body to where it needs to go. So you might find a rock side to side, knees into the chest. You might simply take those legs out long in front and release the hands. So just checking in, asking where works for you. So from your rebound here, just starting to slowly move. So wherever you are, starting to lift the head if you're on the back, starting to move up towards seated, and just starting to spin those legs around. So coming on to knees, so coming into a kneeling position. And from here, in our kneeling position, just taking those hands down towards the mats and tucking under the toes. So tucking the toes under and then starting to drop that weight back. So we're sitting here. And it might be that you keep those hands down here for some support. Maybe you allow the head to hang down. Or maybe you take that weight back onto the feet and just allow yourself to sit. You might rest hands on the thighs. You might tuck under the baby toes as well if they're not completely tucked. And just take that weight back into the feet, so stretching out through the toes. So we're not here for too long. Just checking in, how does that feel? Waking up that lower body. If at any point you feel the need to ease out slightly, taking hands down. Or maybe the hands are down and you feel like you can take that weight a little bit more, ease in. So it's always about finding that spot that works for you in your yin practice. Where is the point where we're feeling not too much, but also not too little? So just a little longer here, taking a breath in. And then when you're ready, taking those hands back down, untucking toes and just taking a tap out through the feet. So just a gentle tapping in towards the mats. Checking in and then leaning back. So coming back towards that kneeling position. From here, stretching out through the ankles. So we're going to start to rock back. So we're lifting through the knees. Here, so knees lift up and we take that weight onto the top of the feet. Again, option to find that support here, so to keep the hands down to either side. And if this feels like it's too much entirely, just pausing and kneeling. So hands might be down onto the thighs, grounding down towards the earth. They might be up, so open palms, that sign of surrender. So wherever you are, taking a second. Again, not too long here, just a short hold. You might even take those hands to heart center. One more breath here. Before slowly easing out, so rolling forwards again. And then taking those hands down towards the mats, tapping out through the feet and coming in towards more of a tabletop here. So taking shoulders above wrists, hips above knees. And as we arrive here in this tabletop, taking any movement that you feel like you might need. So pushing down through the hands, maybe you take hips side to side, maybe you move through the head, through the neck. Just asking yourself what movement here would be nourishing and then responding. So call and response. There's no right or wrong here. You're taking this wherever feels good for you. Next time we find an inhale from this tabletop, starting to push down through that left hand. As we inhale, just peeling right arm up towards the sky. You might take that gaze up as well, extending through the fingertips. And as we exhale, starting to peel that right arm through towards the left side. So we thread it through underneath the left arm. Hips start to draw back. We take that right arm down to the floor and then we release the head. So the right ear or the right side of the head coming down towards the mat, eyes closed. And we take a pause here. So really allowing the body to settle in. So it might be that as you arrive, you notice the need to readjust. So to move the right arm, to move the left arm, maybe even to take the hips side to side, allowing yourself to settle in. So really just taking a pause here. Allowing the body to feel heavy. Just finding that stillness. Just around 60 seconds left here. So you might check in at this point. Notice if there's anywhere in the body that's working hard. We want to see if we can release that effort, so we let go of the active efforts. Starting to wiggle through fingertips now, finding that movement, allowing it back in. Just unraveling that right arm and coming into a rebound. So option to maybe come down onto the belly. Maybe you come back to that tabletop, so you're taking movements here. Still stretching out, finding what you need. Maybe you roll over onto the back. So knowing your rebound can be anywhere at all that works for you. Either finding a small bit of movement or finding that stillness. Maybe you find that small bit of movement and then you settle for just a few seconds. It's anywhere that works for you. So always remembering it's your practice. In your own time, gently peeling your way back to that tabletop. So from wherever you are. And then as we find our next inhale, peeling that left arm up towards the sky, this time extending through those fingertips. And as we exhale, threading it through over towards the right hand side, softening down. So finding that child's pose here, coming down towards the mats and releasing again. So again, take your time to find that spot. So it might be that you wiggle those knees out to the side slightly, so you're in more of a wide leg, you have space. Allowing yourself to settle. You might even take a block or a pillow or a cushion underneath the head. So ask yourself what you need here. Around 60 seconds left. Maybe now is the time where you ease out slightly or you ease in, taking a moment to contemplate. Next breath, we move towards that rebound, slowly peeling the body away. Either some movements in that tabletop or taking some time on the belly. So your time here, just a few breaths, a few seconds to check in. And when we're ready, we're working with this idea of a circular practice. So we're going to find a seat and move towards a butterfly again. So soles of the feet together, knees dropped out to the sides. And from here, taking those feet forward slightly, so we're creating more of a diamond shape. And we're coming into a forward fold. And we want to allow ourselves to round through the back here. Everything easing down. So you might even thread those hands underneath the ankles, take palms down to the mats. And I really encourage you here to find some support. So you might take a pillow, a cushion, a bolster onto the feet. You might even take a bolster and a block. So find support wherever you are for the head. We don't want anything to be hanging. We want to allow everything to be heavy. So finding that ease. And then again, just drawing that attention, that awareness back to the body, back to sensation in the body. How does this feel? 60 or so seconds left. So if you've got lots of props, this might be a moment where you feel like you could remove one. Maybe you just allow yourself to sink that little bit more, knowing that it also might be a moment where you can pause, a moment where you say this was enough and you start to ease out. So knowing when the hold can be too much, it can be too long, being aware of that. And always listening to what the body's asking of you. Just starting to lift that head now. Unthreading those arms if you've got them underneath the ankles, slowly moving away any props. Seeing if you can maybe keep those eyes closed as we move away. Just using hands again to draw those knees back together. And then coming down to lie on the back. So we've done a lot of hip opening here, so it might be that you take the legs out long. Might be that you find it super nice to come into restorative rest, so maybe feet a little bit wider than hip distance, knees dropped in together. And just ask yourself here as we arrive, if I could be just 10% more comfortable, what would I do? So maybe it's just putting a blanket over the body. Maybe it's simply picking up the shoulders and placing them back down. Maybe it's just taking any last wiggles, any last movements. And as we move into this period of Shavasana, just remembering that this is our moment to be still. It's our moment to release, reset, restore. There's nothing to do here, there's nowhere to be. We simply ask ourselves to be present. So again, if there are any distractions popping up, reassuring yourself that it's normal. As soon as we still the body, the mind can become busy. And then if you can, just taking that attention back into that breath, taking the attention back to the body. How is the body feeling? Are there any differences from the start of practice? And allowing our breath here to help us find that release. So as we inhale the same way we did at the start of practice, just sending that breath to anywhere in the body it needs to go. And as we exhale, allowing ourselves to release that tension. So we might even imagine that tension just dissipating away. Option to stay here for a little longer if this feels like the right place to be. If you're ready to start to finish up that practice, Again, just taking knees in towards the chest. Taking a rock from side to side, so noticing that lower back grounding. And then slowly keeping those eyes closed, just starting to roll up towards seated. If you've got a blanket around you, just maybe moving it, so wrapping it around the shoulders. And just coming to any comfortable position, eyes still closed. And taking hands to heart center. So one hand on the chest, the other on top. And just taking a moment to say thank you to yourselves for finding the time to practice. And also we thank the amazing lineage of teachers that have come before us. So sealing this practice, taking a releasing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, gently fluttering open the eyes, coming back to the space. So allow yourself to come back in slowly, to take your time to ease in. And I hope you really enjoyed that class. I hope that it's one that you can come back to. I purposefully made it a little bit shorter, so it's one that you can squeeze in. And yeah, if you did like it, please subscribe. Please let me know in the comments. And if anybody's got any suggestions for any videos that they'd like to see, let me know. And I hope you have an absolutely lovely rest of the day. Thank you.